Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew, and today on Breaking into Cyber, I am very excited to introduce our guest, Danny Meyer, who is a security project engineer, and I'm going to quickly get him right on with you all so we can get this thing going. So Danny is a security project engineer at MSSP, where he is working currently in Texas, and he has a robust background in cybersecurity, IT operations, and public safety. With over a decade of experience protecting both digital and physical environments, Danny brings a unique fusion of law enforcement disciplines and cutting-edge cyber defense strategies to the table. At his current role, he leads security projects focused on regulatory compliance, automation, and vulnerability mitigation. His work includes implementing the CIS benchmarks, conducting CMMC NIST 800-171 gap assessments, and authoring incident response plans that enhance organizational resilience. Before transitioning to cybersecurity, Danny served for over 12 years as a deputy sheriff with the Orange County Sheriff Department, where he gained a critical incident response experience and a passion for public service. His post-law enforcement journey includes advanced roles in IT systems administration, risk assessments, and cybersecurity training initiatives across higher education, enterprise, and then the nonprofit sectors. Danny is recognized for streamlining projects, executing by integrating security automation and scripting, accelerating project delivery by 65%, and enhancing operational maturity through strategic documentation and team mentorship. Whether he's guiding a tabletop exercise or deploying SIM solutions like Splunk, Danny consistently demonstrates a result-driven mindset rooted for integrity, precision, and continuous improvement. Danny, so glad to have you on the channel, and welcome to Breaking into Cyber.
Well, thanks, man. I'm really excited to be here. I know we've been on LinkedIn for quite a while, so it's excited to be able to watch your videos on YouTube and now record with you. It's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
It's so cool getting to do this whole process and getting to network and meet a ton of
Yeah,
different people across the spectrum of this career field. And obviously, Danny and
yeah,
I very much connected, both having our law enforcement backgrounds and kind of making
hmm
our change into cyber. Very, I'd say, pretty smoothly, and not everyone can say this, but I'd say actually pretty successfully. Um, when
yeah,
it when it
absolutely.
when it comes into pivoting into a new role or kind of doing that mid-time career change, I mean, I was 7 years into my time with law enforcement. You were about 12. Some would say
hmm
halfway through a retirement process. But
Yeah,
as many folks come onto this channel, and this will kind of lead into our perfectly first question, cybersecurity. Obviously, for you and I, it was a career change choice, but not everyone always wakes up and kind of wants to get into cybersecurity when they first think about that job they want to do. Can you kind of break down what were your thoughts in the process of what got you into cyber?
yeah, absolutely. From an early age, I loved everything IT. I built home servers when Windows had a home server set up, and so I always knew I wanted to be in that type of field. Law enforcement was a calling as well, and so I think from that process is, you learn about networks, you learn about Active Directory, and everything else in between that, and then I realized, security is paramount, regardless if you're in cybersecurity or not. Security on every level in IT has to be number one focus. And so as I started venturing in the IT field, that's when I'm like, oh, I love cyber. If like you're talking about Splunk or looking at EDR or doing network configuration, there's just so much that you could do. And that's just it was a natural gravitation for me to go towards the cybersecurity realm.
Would you say, because I know one of the reasons why I kind of still liked cybersecurity and very much law enforcement is there's a lot of similarities that I don't think some people think of when it comes into working in cybersecurity and kind of
Yeah.
working in law enforcement. You have to write reports. You have to
hmm
kind of break down those 5 Ws. You're still finding the bad guy, which
Right.
on that civilian side, you're chasing down crime and DUIs and
Yeah.
robbers, and then on the civilian side, on the cyber side, you're tracking down phishing campaigns. You're tracking
hmm
down like elevated use on privilege for users that shouldn't
Right.
have that. Compliance
Right.
issues. Did you find it to be an easy transition or switch once you left law enforcement getting into cyber?
It was a lot easier than I expected. I think, especially with report writing, like you said in law enforcement,
Yeah.
right? You're writing reports. It's the narrative, right? You start this day, this time, at this, place. You're doing this, and so as I got in cyber or even IT, right, doing tickets, being on help desk, and you're writing a full narrative of the circumstances, what's going on. In the cyber side, yeah, absolutely. Incident response. You're thinking, okay, what's the criminal's motive? Like, what did they take? How did they get in? It's the same thing as you go to a crime scene, right? You're looking at the perimeter, you're looking at the evidence before you, and then you're just writing what you see. And so much about cybersecurity incident response is a law enforcement approach. You're looking at everything from the very beginning to the end. You're putting the pieces together, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what happened? The only difference is, I'm probably about 400 miles away, versus being at a scene with, yellow tape around it.
No, definitely. And I don't know for you, Danny, how your path came into the certification realm compared to
Hmm.
hands-on, compared to on-the-job training. I know
Yeah.
when I left, when I was making my transition, obviously Security Plus was the cert to get breaking into the
Hmm.
field. Was there any specific certifications or trainings that you found extremely
Hmm.
valuable when you were kind of beginning to do your career change, moving into the cybersecurity realm? Like, what sites did you use? What
Yeah.
books did you ever kind of read over and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The first thing I did once I kind of made that plan to switch gears was at my local college. They had like an IT associate's degree. I already had my bachelor's in criminal justice, so I was just looking at some
the
coursework. Well,
the degree for law enforcement officers, because I too also
right,
have
the
my
criminal justice.
I
Yeah,
too have my criminal justice degree.
right. Yeah, it's just funny. It's anyways, but yeah, so that these junior colleges offered CompTIA exams with the completion of the course.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so basically you complete the course. I got an A plus voucher, networks and Linux, and so that was exact. I was like, okay, this is great. I can get paid to go to college, and then get a free voucher to take the exams. So took the classes, which were pretty much the CompTIA, exam over a course of I think what 14, 15 weeks. And then what really helped was Udemy. Jason Dion,
Yes,
is it Professor? Is it Messor?
Professor Messer.
On YouTube, yeah, on YouTube. Like all of those guys, phenomenal. I mean, I just took the Security X a couple months ago. Used Jason Dion. It's
Yeah,
like what, $12 for his course plus his practice exams.
you have to catch it on
So
a
fun.
sale. You have to catch them on
Yeah,
sales,
yeah,
which is
yeah. Don't do the $100. Yeah,
yeah. Fun fact: go view it once. Give the algorithm like a day to like see that you saw it. You'll get a
yeah.
coupon like, "Hey, this magically went on sale." I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
perfect." So
It's exactly. So those were kind of like the certs, the path I knew. I knew though the gold standard, as they say, quote unquote, CISSP was my ultimate goal to obtain. But yeah, those were the entry certs where I knew would get my foot in the door, show I know some level of knowledge of IT and basic cyber, because that's the challenge. I think probably same thing for you, where you go from being a cop and you're like, okay, well, now you want to be in IT, you want to be in cyber. What experience do you have? And without
I
certs or work experience.
I had so many interviews where it's like, you did so well in this interview. We have one
Hmm.
question. Why do you want to leave law enforcement? And
Yeah.
I'm like, have you guys? Would you want to be a cop right now? Like, let's go back 8 years.
Right.
Let's go back 8 years.
Right.
There were riots
Right.
happening. Police were really
Exactly.
not really liked at the time, and it was
Yeah.
just so funny because they're like, oh yeah, like you seemed really like I had my Sec Plus, I had my degree, and it's just like
Hmm.
I was interviewing for entry level roles, and I
Right.
feel like every other interview is just like, so why are you trying to leave law enforcement to get into cyber? I'm like,
Right. It's
why
almost like,
why
yeah.
would I? Why wouldn't I? I mean, does it matter? I'm like, am
Right.
I a good fit? Like, me
Right.
answering this honestly, will this get me the offer, or like, do you just want to know why I don't want
Yeah.
to be a cop anymore? It's like, well, like let me see the long
Yeah.
hours, getting called out all the time, court,
Yeah.
getting into
I
fights
mean,
on the
those 12
street.
on, 12 off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those riots were brutal. So it's exactly. And plus, both are noble careers, right? You
they
can
are.
still have some type of purpose on, regardless if it's in cybersecurity or in law enforcement. So that's the nice thing about it.
So it's funny, Danny. I just redid my office,
Yeah.
so on
Yeah.
some of my videos, you'll see
Hmm.
it was like a blank wall. And now started to hang some stuff
Yeah.
up. I have my little CompTIA surrounding,
There you
but
go.
what it's
Yep.
surrounding is, so I was a field training officer for my police department at the time, and that photo is
Hmm.
in the center because
Yeah.
I still wouldn't be who I am today. And I
Right.
applaud law enforcement, firefighters, nurses, the military. Like, being a cop is a great profession, and I will never
Yeah.
say don't go be a police officer. There's days I miss it, 100% still
Right.
days I miss it.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I'm obviously in a much better place now. I've gotten a good into my trade of cybersecurity now,
Hmm.
of what I've been getting into. But
Right.
but yeah, I always like I have one of my good buddies that he's about to interview and got through the polygraph, I think, for the Tempe Police
Hmm.
Department. And
Okay.
him and I still
Nice.
keep in touch. And I'm like, dude, I'm so
Yeah.
excited for you. That's so awesome. Like being a cop's fun. I enjoyed being a
Right.
police officer. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah. Absolutely.
I think at a point in time where my career getting in the military and doing my transition into cyber there, I'm like, man, you know what? Cyber would be a really good move for me and the family. I
Hmm.
like doing it. I enjoy the threat hunting aspect of things, being on the blue team side of looking for bad, finding bad, reporting on bad.
Right.
It was a nice change of pace, and like I realized I was really good at it. And same thing, Danny,
Yeah.
I'm sure for you once you made the move over,
Oh yeah.
it's just like, wow, I'm really good at this. Like, so it was
Yeah.
not it's not like it was a bad choice. Like, oh man, this is I'm not as good as this as I thought. It's like, no,
Right.
this is a great fit.
For sure. Yeah, I think, I love being a cop as well. And I think I was a good cop, right? I was fair and it was a great experience to meet a lot of different types of walk of life. Um, but I know IT cybersecurity, like that's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
I know that's what my calling is. And so yeah, I miss those days, but I also know this is where I should be.
No, definitely. And so when you get people that kind of ask
Hmm.
you for that same process of how do I get into cybersecurity or how I break into this field, I
Right.
know finding mentors and mentees alone, because obviously finding a mentor is outstanding, but also once you get to a point in your career where you
Hmm.
can mentor is just as much great at giving back to those trying to get into this industry. What are
Right.
some resources and kind of trainings that you try to point people to?
Hmm.
Obviously, we know that certifications in this field they're great. They're not
Right.
necessary, but they can show that educational aspect of hey, look, I learned the material,
Hmm.
I passed the proctored exam or test, showing that I can do it, and then it's
Right.
actually returning or knowing that information.
Hmm.
Obviously, cybersecurity can be very expensive. SANS certifications are about $10,000 a pop, and
Yeah.
if you don't pass that test, it's about $1,000 retest.
Right.
So, what are some tips and tricks and some things that you provide or kind of ask when people get that ask, like,
Yeah.
hey, how do I break in or what do I do? Where do I go?
Yeah, I mean, I like how you said like the SANS, it's 10,000. You don't have to hit those certs, right? CompTIA, if you're a student, I think the pen test is 250 bucks. A plus is probably cheaper. A lot of the junior colleges offer those as vouchers. But I would do is, figure out what you want to do, right? Cybersecurity is so wide,
Yes.
GRC, SOC, security projects like me. There's so much you can do. Figure out kind of what you want to do and then go towards that route. You have TCM Security,
Yep.
which
Heath
their
Adams.
courses are cheap. Keith Adams, he used to do one-on-one coaching, and I, you know, paid the small fee. It was really cheap, and he coached me. He told me, gave me tips. He looked at my resume and things like that. So go on LinkedIn. Like you can follow people, reach out to them. I had a junior in college the other day reach out to me, but figure out kind of what you want to do and then go through the coursework like TCM that's cheap as an anti-siphon is with John
Yeah.
Strand is super affordable. I mean, they have the Microsoft BEC investigation for like $5. It's a live course. There's so much you can do. Just use the resources and figure out what path you want to do. Stick to a clear idea and kind of go with that, get master it, and then venture out, right? And but don't break the bank. There's so much cheap
Yeah.
resources on Udemy and YouTube, and I mean, it's just endless. Even I watched your pen test video the other day. When I was going
Yeah.
for pen test, I was like, awesome. You put it on the video. I watched it, went on Pocket Prep. Paid I think it was like 3-month fee, and it was nothing. It cost me a couple $100 out of pocket for that entire cert and
I
training.
I will shout out to Pocket Prep, and I am sponsored with Pocket Prep, but I don't usually sponsor them like on these videos because I like to say what I like to say, and that way I don't have to like put the little this is
Right.
a paid sponsorship video.
Right.
However, I have used Pocket Prep for every one of my SANS examinations, not my SANS, my
Hmm.
CompTIA certifications,
Uh,
and it's just the convenienceness of like just having it on my phone, and I can be wherever I
yeah.
want. Just like I'm gonna do a quick 10 question quiz,
It's
or I'm gonna
I did
do
that.
like
Yep.
I'm at the gym, I'll be on the treadmill working out. I'm like I'm gonna do a 10 minute quiz,
Yep.
and I can just go bam, 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 hit a ton of questions, and
Right.
a lot of the questions like I wouldn't call them identical to what you're gonna see on the exam because they can't do that,
Right.
but the
Right.
concepts and the vocabulary, learning that alone put me
Hmm.
leagues on the tip. I'm like, oh, this is like I know exactly what it's asking for. Or it's just like
Yep.
learning the vocabulary to where you'll see a question where it's like, okay, well, I know it's not this because that this actually means that, and it just helps
Right.
out with that like process of elimination. I'd say for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have a special today, everyone that's still watching this video. And so Danny is going to give us a small kind of sneak peek at, I wouldn't call it a sneak peek because it's very much used, I'd say, across the pen testing access of means and ways of getting into an organization, but a quick little demo on Evilginx. So, which you can YouTube Evilginx, you can GitHub it, you can read all the repositories for it. We're gonna kind of do probably a very high level of what it's used for. I'm gonna kind of let Danny kind of take over this for a bit to kind of walk through the process of what we're actually going to show off today. But pretty excited for those that haven't seen it or ever heard about it. And I'll be obviously dropping in all the comments below and on the video kind of what you can do, all the stuff you can find on Evilginx, and then read up on it. So, Danny, I'm going to pass it to you to share your screen real quick, and
All
we're going
right.
to take a peek at Evilginx and how this thing works.
All right. Yeah, Evilginx is really awesome. The first time really heard about it was last year from John Hammond, and he demoed it on his Microsoft tenant. And what I like about Evil Jinx is it's used for a good, right? The guy that created it it's used for red teams to kind of look at their security, test the metal per se, right? It wasn't used, made so that hackers can exploit people. Of course, that happens, and I see it all the time in my workplace. It's funny, and I try to figure out which fishlet they're using, and so fishlets are your type of like that's your Google, that's your Microsoft, that's LinkedIn login pages, and so it's a really unique, and so I use this on clients that we have paid engagements for, and what we do is we're trying to see, what emails are people clicking on. Are they reading the from the sender, right? Are they looking for small changes in the signatures that might be obvious? And then typically I do a full assessment, M365 or Google assessment in their environment to see, okay, what areas can you improve in? How can you implement, phishing resistant MFA, external banners, and anything between that. So on my screen right here, I clicked on the email already just so that it kind of blows up
Yeah.
a little bit for you. So this is an actual campaign email that I sent out to a client. Um, I thought it was unique because this is when DeepSeek first came out and everyone's
Oh,
freaking
nice.
out and clicking on that. So I was like, you know what? This would be perfect to have the fake IT, director email out leadership, executive leadership, and say, hey, I need you to approve this AUP, this acceptable use policy. And so what this is this is sent from Go Fish, and Go Fish is like your Mailchimp, for phishing. It's again used for red teams and stuff like that. So what I did is I cloned what a Microsoft SharePoint or OneDrive share an email looks like, and as you can see, it looks pretty clean, other than your email address right there.
Yeah.
If you don't look at it, you're just like, oh, this is from Mike Johnson. He's our IT director. He, wants me to look on this policy. Brings in your Word document icon and everything like that. And what GoFish does is it will take anything that's a link and it will push in your Evilginx URL automatically for you. And so what I've seen when you really dial this in, and it's not just you don't just set it up on a server and go. I mean, if you do that, if you set up the server of something like DigitalOcean and you send out that link and it goes into a Google or Microsoft account or Proofpoint, Mimecast, all those spam filters, it's going to blacklist your URL within seconds.
Okay.
So there's security measures you put in place, for me as a doing my engagement where I leverage Cloudflare so that way, first, as soon as this email hits that inbox, if it's on Proofpoint, if it's on Mimecast, Microsoft, whoever, it's going to click on this URL, right? It uses that safe link detection, puts in a little sandbox, and it actually hits this page. So at this point, this is just a regular HTML page, but what's embedded is a real Cloudflare turnstile. So it's a little widget that basically it could be used for like DDoS attacks. If your website's under DDoS and you're trying to keep it from having all these bots hit it, this requires user invention. Well, so the good thing about this is humans are prone to error, right? Probably you see things like Cloudflare all the time. You become numb to it because you're just like, oh, someone's spamming if they know even the concept, and they just go ahead, click, and verify. And so on this point, this is going to my phishing server on Evilginx, and as you can see, this command line, it's kind of blowing up a little bit. And you click verify, it's going to start spewing out probably more commands as I go through. But right here is this looks like a legitimate Microsoft M365 login page for a business account.
Yeah.
Again, the target is business users, so it's going to look like that. Let me grab my login. Should have had that up. But the neat thing about this is as soon as you start typing in the username and the password, Evilginx will start storing that in plain text for you. So I'll go ahead and I click on my email and then go ahead and click on my password. And you'll see right here
Yep, just
the
popped.
email.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And so of course, most companies at the this point have MFA enrolled.
About to say now, Danny,
So
but we have
yeah,
MFA set in place. This isn't going to be compromised.
right.
That is your legitimate Microsoft Authenticator that it's actually telling you to verify with, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the neat thing about that process is this is hooking back into Microsoft. And as you can see right now, it authenticates with that MFA. And then now I'm back on Microsoft365.com. So at this point, your typical user is like, oh, the link's dead, or they'll click it on again. They'll go login page. Oh, Mike messed up. How often do people share a link and it doesn't work? So you're used to that. So from a threat actor, what I'm looking at is I'm getting happy because guess what? I got an email and password, and sometimes there isn't MFA. So you type in a command called sessions, and that's going to pull in your various sessions. So if you look at this first one, how it has 104, 147, that's a Microsoft Defender. It's mostly Microsoft Defender crawling through, trying to see if it sees anything weird. And because it hits that Cloudflare page, it does nothing. It releases that email if that was going right into the inbox. Now you see the second one, this is where the token, everything was captured. So as soon as that token, that full entire package, the username, password, and MFA is captured, it creates that. So you just do sessions and this one's 7, bam. This whole entire string is our token that's going to be able to log us into, if I can click it. Let's try that one more time. There we go. I don't know why. All right. So right here, as a threat actor, so we're gonna pretend like I'm in a different state, different place altogether. I'm on a real Microsoft login page. Right now, there's nothing saved, nothing logged in, and all you need is just a simple cookie editor
Yep.
that you can get free from Firefox, you can get from Chrome. Click import, click refresh, and now I'm in John's account.
Oh man, that it
Simple like that.
is.
Yeah, so you know, click that again. Bam, it pulled over that session. I'm in John's account. If now at this point, as a threat actor, what I'm looking at doing is I'm going to create a redirect rule, most likely to your RSS feeds, and take all your inbox, all new, emails inbound. I'm going to push it into that folder. That way, if I need to start sending out, emails targeted to people or spamming people, anything that comes in is going to go straight into a new folder. You're not going to see that. I'm gonna start poking around, right? I'm gonna go to your OneDrive and SharePoint. Are you an admin? Can I
Yeah.
start how big is your organization? If you have a Microsoft license, you have Teams, I can open up Teams. I can start looking at your org chart. I can start sending targeted emails within OneDrive that links it back to Evilginx, and that's what they're doing. And they're doing that all the time, either to impersonate another company. You hijack one company and start impersonating them, try to redirect ACH, or they're trying to, take data out of their own environment.
It's so crazy, Danny, because you look at compromises and you look at like the root causes, even like a few years back, and even still now, for a lot of how are companies getting popped. And usually it is hey, end user clicked on the link, it logged them into some kind of session, they enabled macros, and so it's
Right.
like it's so hard because it's like they always preach on every organization you get into when it comes into security, like, hey, your first defense is your end users, because
Right.
exactly this exact reason, like those all seem like pretty legitimate. Hey, that looks like a legit file from Mike Johnson. That looks like a
Right.
normal Microsoft login. that looks like, hey,
Right.
this is Cloudflare. This is what I see every single day when I have to verify that
Yeah.
I'm a human. And so I think it really emphasizes, and like, this is the thing I love teaching people that aren't in
Right.
cybersecurity, that aren't in this state of mindness and awareness that a lot of us in this field are in. It's that attention to detail. So just like
Hmm.
you said, like, hey, who is this from? Like, hey, do you usually receive emails from Mike Johnson? Is it
Right.
specifically sent to you rather than an entire two line of like distros and grouped individuals? Like,
Right.
why are you singly getting this message, at least for this example, from Mike
Right.
Johnson, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
what are some other ways, I guess, that you would recommend people kind of can learn or kind of maybe like even kind of be more aware of this?
Yeah, I think from multiple levels, right? From an entry level cybersecurity, it, go watch John Hammond's video. Go, I think I forget Kuba is I believe his first name. He's the creator of Evilginx. He has a master course. Go through that entire master course. Spend $7 on DigitalOcean server, $7 on domain. Test it out. You can do local hosts as well. But even from cybersecurity professionals, what part of these engagements is not only testing the end users, it's testing your incident response as an IT org, in IT, right? We have you know done campaigns in the past where, hey, they'll say, hey, don't click on this email when I'm ready in this inbox, and the person that I compromised doesn't report, and then they get more and more targeted emails, hey, don't click on this, don't click on this. Then I'm like, after on our debrief, I'm like, what was your incident response? You got multiple targeted emails. How are you doing that? So from an entry level cybersecurity to a seasoned, IT person, internal IT or MSP or whatever you are,
Next steps. What are next
right?
steps?
Yeah, exactly. Think about what are hackers doing, right? Teaching people how to look at the from senders, right? Using that sense like, hey, you never send me emails. Why would you send me an email now? And if you think something went wrong, notify. But it's going back to the basics. I think, like you said, is our end users are going to be our most vulnerable. And so if you think baseline, you can have EDR, you can have a SIM, you can have all this stuff. But if a person clicks on an email and establishes a payload, or if they do a BEC like this, what's all that going to do for you if they get in that easily, So I think just really just play around, think through it, and think, how can I educate my end users with realistic examples, and not your typical silly one that you can tell is a fake email. You click report and you pass the phishing campaign. Like, use real life scenarios like this where this looks so real that, if unless you really looked at the from sender, and or got a little suspicious with that Cloudflare page, or make it whatever you want, uh, I think that's where you can invest your time in yourself, and for others.
No, definitely, Danny. So thanks for sharing your screen for that one. And if you want,
Absolutely.
we can cut that and we'll get back to our full screen left right Danny Andy combo here. And so I guess some questions I have for you too, Danny. So
Yeah.
was a lot of this all self taught of once you kind of got into the field and like getting better at doing this offensive in a sense security aspects of things, or what kind of helped you get better by just doing this stuff? Was it repetition? Was it those master classes? Was it just kind of trial and error?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit of all of it, right? I think that in order to hone in on the skills, I had to figure out what I wanted to do, right? So when I was a sysadmin, I had to figure out, okay, I have no visibility. I have no idea who's on our Active Directory, if people are logging in at different times. So I just started thinking about, okay, what do I need to implement? Okay, so I, implement a monitoring software. Okay, how do I know if someone's port scanning our internal network on Kali Linux, right, and hitting all our subnets? Okay, well, Splunk gives me the ability to ingest syslog, and I can create queries. And it was just months and years of just looking at one thing after another and going online, right, and seeing TCM Academy, and you can see how to do lateral movement on Windows. And then, yeah, a lot of the on the job knowledge, especially within the MSP world. VPNs are getting broken into all the time, BECs, and just a lot of that repetition. You look at that VPN, oh, there's no MFA bound, there's no, what security groups are you targeting. All those things become second nature. So when we get incident response now, I'm like, it's most likely a VPN, because there's so many vulnerabilities, and especially in firewalls alone right now. So just again, look big picture, think about what are you trying to accomplish and how do you accomplish it? Is that through a master course? Or is that through a YouTube video? Or is that through purchasing from a vendor and they're giving you their knowledge base? Um, it just, there's so much resources out there. You just have to hone in on the why and how do you accomplish it.
Yeah, I will push people out to they I don't have any EDR or Splunk experience. I'm like, well, that's great. Go to Splunk, go to Elastic.
Right.
They have
Right.
free trainings at some of their lower level. You have to sign in, create an account still, but they have
Right.
entry level. Like, hey, what is Splunk? What is Elastic? I
Right.
think Try Hack Me and I think Hack
Mhm.
the Box has some like Hack the Box. I think is more geared toward like, hey, pwn this box and get root. I think
Right.
I would say like trying to get like CrowdStrike experience or like other EDR experience like Microsoft Sentinel or Defender
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
probably a little bit easier to get a hold of on the Microsoft Learn pages of just learning
Right.
like the SC900 certification for basic
Hmm.
security. Yeah, because I don't think CrowdStrike has a free. They have their CrowdStrike University, but I think you have to
Yeah.
be with them as a
Um,
client in order to have that
Even Sentinel
access.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
the EDR experience might be hard to get a hold of,
Right.
but I mean, like when it comes into SIM SOAR experience, I know like
Hmm.
Try Hack Me has their SOC Analyst Level One, where they just released being able to
Hmm.
get into their SOAR, which is pretty much XOR based, or I think looks off based off of Splunk. And
Yeah.
going into Splunk and Elastic alone, even Google Chronicle, they have free training that you can get you into and get you
Right.
that SIM experience. I think to get into going through
Yeah.
logs and seeing what that looks like, and then doing
Right.
case reports and the kind of like that same thing, like try to find that path you like to go down. I think a
Right.
lot of training platforms are creating more and more like assessment tests almost to say, hey, well, what do you
Right.
like to do? Do you like doing compliance? Do you like using cloud? Uh, red
Yeah.
team, blue team, and then obviously hack smarter with oh man,
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Tyler Ramsby, and
Yeah.
then just hacking that John Hammond and them with their list of all stars of a
Yeah.
ton of different content creators that are SMEs in their fields. Bailey
Yeah.
Marshall, just name off one, and they have a ton of free training now you can go to and just the
Hmm.
amount of free training I can't emphasize of like when people's like I don't know where to start. I'm like, well, it's a large pond, so you have tons of opportunity to figure out where you want to go. But I
Right.
think John and I were talking about it just a few days ago. And he's like, the best thing to do is just like really try a little bit of everything. And
Right.
then once you find what you like, start to hone in on that. But then at any point in
Hmm.
time, if you lose interest on that, you can always back up. And there's so many different
Right.
deviated paths within cybersecurity that you can get into. Like your
Right.
possibilities are, I'd say, almost pretty much endless.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I was mentioning earlier, I should have been more specific. Like you can get Splunk, free ingest in your own house or day. Create a small little sub network, right? Get an Active Directory, Windows computer, put them on. Like you could do all that stuff for pennies, right? Buy old hardware, use Splunk, and use that as your little environment. Or like you said, try Hack Me. There's so many resources just that you can use in your house for your little home labs that won't break the bank and gives you more experience than a textbook is going to give you.
So maybe, and if you can answer this, Danny, awesome. If you
Yeah.
can't, no worries. What has been your favorite phishing email you've
Mm.
used on any of your campaigns that was like the most successful?
Yeah. It was a Google one. It was from the HR director. The best part about these is everything's OSINT, right? You go on the website, you get V cards, you get cell phone numbers, you go on LinkedIn, there's so much information. So I did a Google phishing campaign and said, hey, I have a new birthday list to update your birthdays for the staff. And all their staff emails are on their website. And I targeted 46 emails. I got 23 accounts with MFA. So they used MFA on their Google account. I got 23. At one point, I had 13 Chrome profiles open so I could use the cookie editor to inject. So at one point, I literally had 13 browsers stacked. And I took a screenshot of just kind of like that little header so you could see their name in one email box all the way down my screen. That was phenomenal. I honestly, I set it up. I was going to go on a white walk with my wife, and I just saw my terminal window go crazy. I'm like, that's weird. Like, is Google like hammering the site? Are they what's going on? And I did a refresh on the page or on the terminal window, and I had username, password, username, password, username, password for weeks. I left it up for weeks, the last person I got was one of their finance people. And so that was my favorite because I did not expect it to go as well as it did. Um, and what's scary on top of that is, just the Google reporting, right? Doing the assessment afterwards and realize Google did not report that we had a California, Texas, and a New York login all within a small period of time. So that to me was eye-opening to see, whoa, like what amount of
Was
damage could
that
be
like
done without visibility.
with like impossible travel alerting would have
Yeah,
probably solved
yeah.
that? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's just a setting in Google or not, because I think because Google takes it as an authenticated session with that username through that token session.
Being successful.
Right. So it did not consider it impossible travel versus Microsoft, I know, would flag that in an instant. So again,
Yeah.
I don't know the Google environment as well, but that by far was the funnest engagement I've done, and shocking. I was when I delivered that report, I was pretty shocked and or to be able to do that.
I remember us talking, and it's just like it kicks back to my blue hat side of things, right? And it's just like
Hmm.
you're sitting back as a security analyst or security engineer for that, and then like you're seeing this happening, or like you're seeing emails go left and right, and like you're reaching out to your security team, or even if no one's reaching out, it's just like, hey, I think this
Yeah.
email's been compromised, and then you just get crickets back, and it's just
Right.
like, guys, what do we do next? Like, well, cool.
Right.
It's like that's where it's like comes down to, okay, well, who now makes the next decision? And like obviously that's
Right.
very big on companies because it's okay. Well, is this gonna cause third party effects, second, third order effects? So like,
Right.
okay, if I pause this action, or if I pause or stop this site from running, is there gonna be a
Right.
business impact? Are we losing money?
Right. Yeah.
If we lock out our one of our system admins, are they
Hmm.
specifically the only ones that have keys to a kingdom for XYZ
Right.
server? So
Yeah.
it comes down to now having that good business continuity plan and kind of those next SOP steps. And I think
Right.
that's probably what a lot of companies find to figure out at the end of these
Right.
engagements of like, man, we thought we were ready. I think,
Hmm.
oh man, who says the quote like, you thought you were all planned out or ready for a fight until you get punched in the face?
Yeah.
It's like Sylvester
It's true though.
Stallone, or I can't
Yeah.
remember who
Yeah.
does the quote, but
Right.
it's just like you're all ready for a fight, then all of a sudden you get punched in the face, and like everything just goes out the
Right.
window. And I think
Yeah.
the same thing happens with organizations. Like they get these penetration tests done either by internal teams or third party teams,
Hmm.
and like we're
Hmm.
set, we got a solid team, we're all ready. Then boom, punched in the
Right.
face. Like wow, 13 people clicked on this, and we were blind to
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I delivered a report one time and shared my screen and just pulled up one of the email addresses I still had persistence in. And his jaw dropped. And I'm like, it's not to shame anyone, but it's also, and that was, I'm like, what was your response? Like, did you know about it? Did anyone investigate it? Like, was it suspicious? And yeah, that's why I like these, because it tests the metal on multiple angles. And the goal is to improve security. It's not to shame people, make people feel low or dumb. It's how can we improve your environment? That's what I want
Yes.
to do. It's the same thing in law enforcement. How do we protect you? How do we keep you safe? And that's the same thing with these type of engagements.
Yeah, the red team's goal is never to aha you, like, haha, we got you.
Right.
It's, hey, look, we were able to do this and you guys weren't able to see it. This is how you guys can detect that next time. It's that learning environment. Like, hey, look,
Right.
we're doing this so that someone on the outside or a bad guy doesn't do this to us. And that's why
Right.
it's like whenever we have our red team engagements, like I tell them, hey, go hard. Because if I find you, I'm like, haha, I got you. Then they're like, but we had these other 3 ways. I'm
Right.
like, I missed that, but now I
Yeah.
know.
Exactly.
So
Right.
well, cool.
Absolutely.
Well, cool, Danny. Well, a few more questions to wrap it up, and I'll get you out of here
Yeah.
for the night. But what are some things that Danny likes to do to stay on top of knowledge when it comes into? Obviously, I don't know if you saw. I think in the last 24 hours, the CVE,
Hmm.
for example, website is
Yeah.
getting
Yeah. I saw that MITRE
defunded. I
email.
guessed, or I mean,
Yeah.
like I found that extremely shocking, and I think there's going to be some second, third order effects on that. That once that goes
Right.
away, there's going to be a lot of folks being like, "Oh man, why isn't this here
Hmm.
anymore?" But
Right.
other than that, what are some things that you try to do to stay on top of knowledge and stay on top of like the prevalence of cybersecurity events? Like, what are some like
Right.
things you read into and do?
Yeah. So knowledge wise, my goal, at least for the last year, is really every 2 to 3 months hit a cert. And it's not necessarily, pad the resume or anything. It's more so like there's so much out there. So I've been hitting more of the GRC type of certs, and even like the free stuff through like Vanta, just to kind of understand compliance more, from the assessor view, CMMC, things like that. I'm always interested in seeing like, okay, how does this work? If I'm putting a security control in for a CMMC client, what objective is that hitting? And then how does the assessor look at it? So those are the type of things I like to know versus, same thing with red team engagement. Saw John Hammond's video, spun up a server that night. Wow, this is crazy. And then spent months just researching different master courses and processes to get it dialed in. And from threat intelligence, we have our own internal chat at work where we're constantly posting things, and hey, is there remediation? There was one recently for like an on-prem payroll system, and there was a guide by September from the vendor, and just documenting that so we can let each other know. Bleeping computer, and surprisingly, LinkedIn's awesome because I follow so many people like Keith Adams, you, John Hammond, and all that, and you're constantly getting hit with knowledge. So I love that. So I'm just constantly trying to not exhaust myself with it from the knowledge standpoint as well, but there's something new pops up every day, especially that CVE that, like you just said, I saw 20 posts in the last couple of days. Like, wow, this is insane. So that's what I try to do. I try to always learn something new every day. That's really my motto, is try to learn something new every day. It doesn't have to be profound, doesn't have to be a lot, but just something so that way you can better yourself, educate your team, and just go from there.
Yeah, hoarding, like getting to share knowledge that you find is like huge in the industry, and I find that I think a lot of folks across LinkedIn, uh, Twitter, GitHub,
Hmm.
Stack Overflow,
Yeah.
like if you're running into a problem, you're probably not the first person that's had that problem.
Right.
So knowing how to Google and just reaching out across your network and just talking to people, saying, "Hey, has anyone solved this before or seen this before?" Or just doing your
Hmm.
own little kind of Google research and like Google working to say, "Okay, has this been rectified by someone else before I go spend
Right.
countless hours on something that like
Right.
then like 5 hours in, like, hey, there's my answer right there on this one site or this one person that
Hmm.
maybe responded to me that I didn't see right away." But
Yeah. Absolutely. Google is your friend.
yeah, if you're not using Google and you're breaking into cyber, you're doing it wrong. That is like
Right.
that was my whole first year of like
Uh,
being and becoming and growing as an analyst. It's like learning how to Google dork and just find
yeah.
solutions and then
Right.
answers that I was then able to retwist and then make a use case for whatever solution I was trying to find. Like, oh, this does
Right.
work. I just have to like
Right.
rebrand it or kind of retwist the result to get what I needed. So,
Right.
and then second to last question for you, Danny, is so what
Yeah.
is when Danny's not doing cybersecurity? What do you like to do for fun? You play any
Yeah.
games? You like to go hit the gym? What are you doing that's
So
not cyber to kind of like just unplug?
yeah, yeah. The funny is I don't game. I've never been a gamer. I've
Man,
built
all right.
custom computers for it's weird, right? It's kind
Thanks
of
everyone for coming on the channel.
right, exactly.
Okay.
Bye. Yeah, no, I'm very regimented. I wake up usually around 4 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym. I have wife and kids, so I usually get their breakfast ready. I'm a family guy. I love my family. They're my priority. So after work, unwind is being with the kids, being the wife, going out on walks, just enjoying the non-tech world, right?
Yeah.
Because we ingest it so much throughout the day that you get fatigued, right? And so just spending time with them, tons of friends in the area, we all hang out throughout the week, and so just yeah, anything that kind of can keep my mind at ease a little bit. It's hard to put things down, but if I'm purposeful and going out and doing stuff, it makes it easy to come back in the morning like ready to hit it. Like you're ready, you're go. So that's usually what I do. Gym and family and friends just to relax and enjoy the time away.
Oh, perfect, man. Yeah, burnout's a real thing, man, and like getting that peace of mind to step away from whatever project you're working in or case you're working in,
Yeah.
or uh, uh, what's what I'm looking for? Like not adversary or project, or like when you're getting spun up on a engagement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like getting to step away from that, just like unfresh and rewind is huge.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Of
well, Danny, thank you for coming on the channel. As always,
course,
as
man.
I tell all of my folks that come on the channel, as a huge thank you, going to be sending you some Oster Cool Ginger Hacker swag as a thank you for
Love it.
coming on the channel to let me steal you away from the family for an hour. And
Of
before we
course.
go,
Yes.
last piece of advice you'd give somebody that is trying to break into cyber.
Just be persistent, right? Don't be intimidated. You're gonna have imposter syndrome. I have it even to this day. Just keep going for it, right? Let the no's be no's and keep pushing. Do what you can, do your home labs, do your try hack me, get your certs, network, right? Reach out. You have no idea how many of these big names are so, so cool, and they'll talk to you. Get their advice. They say, hey, you should get your degree. You should go apply as a, help desk. Go do that. Learn your networking, learn all that stuff. There's so much to learn on the IT that you're going to be better in cybersecurity if you know what Active Directory is, what Entra ID is, how to configure a firewall, VLANs, subnets, all that. Just do that and just realize this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, right? You don't have to be at that role within 2 years. You got 30, 40 years in you. Take the time, enjoy it, learn it all, and just, have a good, successful career. And I think that's probably the best way to approach it.
Awesome, Danny. Well, everybody, this is always another amazing, great episode of Breaking the Cyber. Great information from Danny. Please like, comment, subscribe. What your favorite part was. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video.